My book, The Limits of Whiteness, Iranian Americans and the Everyday Politics of Race, tries to grapple with a fundamental paradox that faces Iranians and other groups from the broad Middle East as newcomers to the US or in North America, which is how is it that a group who in many ways, as they travel from one country to another as immigrants, bring with them a kind of knowledge that they've been socialized into or lessons that they've learned in Iran back in school, right? About how Iranians are white, they're the original white people of the world. There's a very connected kind of train of thought or literature around the Aryanness or the Aryanness of Iranians, and they bring with them, right, this myth that they're Aryan, Caucasian, white. What does it mean when that immigrant group already sees itself as white for a lot of reasons we can explain, because that's what's been taught to them? Then they come to a new country where also, according to federal reporting categories, Iranians, people from the Middle East, North Africa, they're counted as white by the federal government, but they have a wealth of different experiences that more closely resemble those of communities of color. And so my book tries to understand this paradox of, like, you come thinking you're white, the government is supposed to be treating you as white, but there's this like preponderance of evidence in front of your face that maybe you're not as white as you've been taught to believe, or you're not as white as that form is telling you that you are. Biology and biotech have shown, right, that like race is a social construct, that actually the degrees of genetic diversity that we have within a racial group is actually far more than the diversity that we see across racial groups, right? So that I may have something in common with someone who's a completely different race than me, more in common genetically with them than I do with an Iranian. And so we've proven without a shadow of a doubt that race is not real, and yet it is so real in its social consequences. And so that's sort of the premise that I begin the book with, is to say that, you know, we can scientifically prove that race is something that we've made up as human beings, and there isn't a kind of evidentiary-based fact of race, and yet it permeates every way that you move through the world, from the treatment that you get at a convenience store, through the way police interact with you, to who, you know, appropriate a partner is for dating, through, you know, any number of different things. And so just because it's not real scientifically doesn't make it not real socially. My book is only a tiny piece of the puzzle. And so whether someone uses my book to build the next study, or they explode the things in my book to build something better, it redoubles my energy and my passion for the fight.